Underneath the Playtime Company factory, a very special place was created that brought both joy and nightmares to those who were there. After defeating Huggy Wuggy, Mommy Longlegs, and Catnap, Poppy and the protagonist advance into a hell unlike anything they have ever known. A place inhabited by a peculiar character born from a tragic accident that took a boy named Jack, who visited Playtime Company with excitement, to the bottom of a clay crusher where his favorite toy, Doey the Doughman, was created. Kissy Missy was attacked at the last moment of Poppy Playtime Chapter 3.
Come on, go faster! Kissy!
With the elevator taking the protagonist and Poppy down to the caves beneath the factory, with no way to return. After a warning from Poppy, ensuring that what lies beneath the factory is a hell like we have never seen before, the doll returns in the elevator to try and help her friend, leaving the protagonist with a mission to find allies there and put an end to Playtime Company forever. The first checkpoint to cross is the prison, a place reserved for toys that need to be confined due to their inappropriate behaviors. What appears to be a junkyard is actually a toy graveyard where bodies pile up and the remains are devoured by the few survivors. Suddenly, the entrance to the prison closes. Someone knows that the protagonist is coming and wants to block the way to the depths. After an attack from the toys, the protagonist finds another entry point into the prison through which the toys meant to be imprisoned were taken. The protagonist receives a call from Ollie, Poppy's friend, who wishes him luck down there.
Just try to stay safe.
During this journey, one of the monitors turns on and reveals that Dr. Harley Sawyer, responsible for creating Playtime Company's monsters, is sabotaging our arrival at the prison. Somehow, the doctor is able to control the factory and monitor every step of the protagonist since he arrived in Chapter 1. The prison is a passageway. Luckily, none of the large body initiative toys that caused so many problems in the past remain here. After recovering the red hand from Chapter 1, which allows access to areas with a higher level of security, the protagonist is attacked by a bunch of small plush toys called Nightmare Critters, a trap orchestrated by the doctor, which the protagonist overcomes as a deadly test to escape the prison. After another test while crossing Section 2 of the prison, the red smoke, diverted from Playcare in Chapter 3, leaks and is poisoning the protagonist. Using a valve, he manages to fix the problem and continue advancing through the prison until encountering another trap by the doctor. He introduces his gigantic pet, Yarnaby, half wolf, half lion, with a head that opens revealing a deadly row of teeth. After navigating through narrow hallways where Yarnaby roams, the protagonist falls into a pit where he encounters a dinosaur-like creature with a piano on its face. The Pianosaurus turns slowly and begins its attack, but something emerges from the shadows and stops it immediately.
Now that hit the spot. I haven't eaten in weeks. Hiya there, pal.
A bluish clay figure with a smiling expression appears before the protagonist. It is Doey, a living clay monster who turns out to be one of the allies Poppy has sent us to find. Doey asks the protagonist to follow him to a safe place, navigating through the caves while demonstrating his ability to transform and change shape at will. Arriving at Doey's house, Kissy Missy and Poppy drag the protagonist into a wall crevice. As a massive spider-shaped figure, which seems to be the prototype, appears with the intent to destroy everything in its path.
Through the showers. We should be able to make it into the safe haven from there.
Fleeing from the monster, Poppy and Kissy take the protagonist to Safe Haven, the refuge Doey has created for all surviving Playtime Company toys that refuse to become monsters. Poppy reveals that the orphans from Playcare did not die during the Hour of Joy. The prototype took them, and they're being held captive beneath the factory for further experiments. The doll's plan is to rescue the children, get them out of the factory, and direct the red smoke down below to blow it up. Her mission is to destroy everything Playtime Company created, including the toys in the refuge. Kissy and Poppy stay behind to rest and recover from their wounds, while the protagonist speaks with Doey, who asks him to consider not blowing up the factory to avoid killing the remaining toys. But for now, the mission is to find Dr. Sawyer and put an end to him and his control over the factory.
He controls it all with an Omni hand, we think. The executives used them. It's a battery, a key, the master control to anything in the entire factory. And with it, he commands everything down here.
To do this, his path takes him through a place called No Man's Land, a quiet place where he didn't expect to encounter Yarnaby, a four-legged nightmare that relentlessly chases him through the cave facilities. By redirecting the electricity, he manages to open all the doors and start a chase with Yarnaby hot on his heels. The monster ends up hooked onto a chain over a burning pit, and since it's made of wool, it starts burning and falls into the abyss. Later on, the Doctor, frustrated by the death of his pet, continues hindering the protagonist, nearly freezing him and forcing him to close pipes to prevent cold leaks. Doey suffers from one of these leaks, revealing one of his greatest weaknesses, ice. The laboratory and the operating room are the next steps on the route, a dark place where a gas leak forces him to solve a time puzzle, having to examine the corpses of several toys that have been used as experimental subjects. As the protagonist advances toward the Doctor, a new trap blocks the grab pack's jump hand, and he falls into a labyrinthian pit where a new pet of the Doctor appears. A gigantic Baba Chops plush corners the protagonist in a pit while he tries to redirect electricity to open a door leading to the exit. The Doctor is known for making tough decisions and presents one to the protagonist: leave the room by killing a toy in a tank or die at the hands of the nightmare critters. Here, you can choose to be evil and kill the creatures in the tank, or escape through the ceiling and do a good deed for humanity. Regardless, destiny leads him to face the Doctor in his own lair. A horde of killer robots with monitors for heads lurk in the darkness as he collects batteries to open the path to the Doctor. Once this is done, the moment of truth arrives. The confrontation with the Doctor, who did not transform into a toy, but into a security system where his brain remains in a tank, controlling and watching over the entire factory. By removing his operating card, the system collapses and the Doctor finally dies.
You saved.
In a room near where he was, a videotape reveals how the Doctor ended up as a brain inside a tank. The factory managers, including Estella Graber, Leith Pierre, and Eddie Ritterman, disagreed with the Doctor's practices. Since they couldn't kill him, they turned him into one of their own experiments.
So fight, or give in, or whatever. Because either way, we own the infrastructure you're wired into.
You'll die for this, Leith. When I get my hands on you, you're a dead man!
His temper is a bad look for you, Harley.
Experiment 1354. As revenge, the Doctor allied himself with a prototype to bring the factory to ruin.
Then of what use are you? You know I'm still your best shot at cracking that secret. If I weren't, you would have already killed me. A sound observation.
Yes, you have made yourself useful. Provide me
More options.
I will try again.
The protagonist can now upgrade the Red Hand thanks to the Omni chip that was installed in the Doctor's computer. The Omni Hand is used to access the most hidden areas of the factory, including the foundations, to destroy what remains of Playtime Company and its secret laboratory. Back at the refuge, Poppy and Doey have a heated discussion about what to do. Poppy insists on destroying the factory and everything in it to protect humanity and avenge the fallen. Doey wants to protect the toys and believes there must be another way to handle things. Then, the prototype launches an attack on the refuge, and the protagonist must restart the protection system while while the remaining toys try to withstand the assault. After successfully repelling it, Poppy's final mission is to place explosives in Playtime's foundations, and as always, she entrusts this mission to the protagonist. It is necessary to redirect the factory smoke and retrieve explosives from a nightmare critter's nest before placing them and returning to the safe haven. When everything seemed to have gone perfectly, Doey says he lost sight of the prototype, and suddenly, a massive explosion occurs in the refuge. Upon arriving, Doey flies into a rage, believing the protagonist caused the explosion.
It all started with you. You and her. I'll kill you!
Transforming into a gigantic mass of enraged clay, revealing through his mouth 3 children trapped inside him, one of them being Jack, the boy who fell into the clay tank in an accident. Doey is the experiment 1322 of Playtime Company, in which 3 different children were used to give life and personality to the monster: Jack, Kevin, and Matthew, respectively designated as experiments 1322A, B, and C. This is why Doey has a personality disorder and argues with himself and the different voices in his head.
It was you who ruined everything! No, that's not true. They jump-started the generator. They destroyed everything!
The final battle against Doey, the clay monster, begins in a spiral area within the caves. By freezing him and activating mechanical saws, the protagonist manages to defeat Doey and escape from the mine area. But as he leaves, Doey reappears and grabs him, starting a struggle in which he ends up frozen and crushed by a shredding machine.
Ow! Kill everyone! Can't trust anyone! The gentle voices lie! You lie! I tried to be better, to be who they needed. Smart enough, not good enough, not...
Using his last breath to apologize for all the harm he has caused, the protagonist finds a tape that turns out to be a confession from the doll Poppy about the hour of joy, stating that she never wanted the massacre to happen and thought the toys were only going to escape from the factory.
I thought we were gonna leave. Leave the factory. Not this. All those people.
Finally revealing that her father is actually Elliot Ludwig, the original creator of Playtime Company.
I wish you were here, Dad. I could really use one of your talks right about now. You'd know what to say. When you were running this place, you always knew what to say. I miss you.
Doey also confesses in a final tape that his purpose in Playtime was always to protect others, struggling internally with one of his personalities, which was problematic and ultimately led to his own death.
It's been hard to keep my head straight. The others, they look to me to know what to do, to know where to go.
Upon leaving, the protagonist arrives at a room where Poppy and Kissy are taking refuge, just as the doll is trying to contact Ollie. But a twist of fate occurs when Ollie reveals that the real Ollie actually died a long time ago.
Was there ever an Ollie?
Yes, there was. But that was a very long time ago.
And that everything has been a trap set by the prototype. The protagonist and Kissy fall off the cliff.
Try to land on your feet.
The protagonist's final steps in the game lead him to Playtime Company's laboratory, where the poppies used to create the red smoke were stored, trapping him in a final ambush by the prototype alongside one last threat and the return of his worst enemy.
And before you get any ideas, don't think you can just sneak away either. No, the second you put this tape in, it set off an alarm. So if anyone's home, they know exactly where you are. Pretty nifty, huh? Security is very important to us here. If I were you, I'd start running.
Huggy Wuggy did not die in his fall in Chapter 1. He is alive and well, ready to become everyone's worst nightmare in the future of Poppy Playtime. Don't miss the rest of the videos in the series that we have left for you here, and subscribe to our channel so you won't miss the next ones. Thanks for watching, see you next time!